What is up, Jags fans? What a great night, a Friday night live show. I'm excited because tonight we are breaking down the 53-man roster potentially, and we're going to take it a step further and talk about the depth chart. So we're going to make some predictions. I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. I'm just going to give you my educated guess based on what I've seen if I were Doug Pederson. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and who you would pick. So make sure you get in the chat. If this is your first time watching the show live, this is fan interactive, so get your comments in so we can read them all. If you're rewatching the show later, thanks for watching, but if you would have caught it live, you could have been a part of the show. Most of the time we do live shows here, and they're a lot of fun. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll get notifications, maybe from YouTube, when we go live. Go ahead and follow the Twitter and the Instagram while you're at it. I've been better about Instagram. I've been better, okay? So I'm working on that. That's my 2020 year goal, is to be better at Instagram. Keep me accountable, boys. Here we go. The chat seems to be popping off already, and that's what I love to see. Ace Sharpshooter says, yo. Ace is always one of the first ones in here, and I appreciate that, Ace. I really do. I don't know if I tell you that enough, but I do. Tallahassee, he's always in here a lot, too, says, let's go. Aspect says, yo. Ryan Baggett says, Duval. That's right. Tallahassee says, so close, Ace. He tried to be the first one in here. Tallahassee did, but I appreciate that. Moon Illusions, who I haven't seen in a while. Moon, good to see you. Says fifth. The Funny Boy says Duval. I love it. Sea Breacher. What up, Sea Breacher? Says yo. Tallahassee says looks like we got a kicker. You're right. I mean, what was it, 8 for 8 today for James McCourt? So I had to make a note of his name because I knew I would not remember that. Aspect says first time catching a live show and it feels like years. Well, Aspect, we've been cranking out the live shows here the last couple of weeks, so get on it, man. Let's see what else we got. The Funny Boy says, want to play some Fortnite? No, I don't. I really don't. Can you gritty? Also, no, I can't. I'm over the age of 30, so I don't even attempt to do young people things like that. Moon Illusion says the Irishman is our kicker. A Sharpshooter, James of Jake, who we like, boys. Duval says Jags history. What's this talk about, Sue? Oh, I haven't seen anything, but, I'm open to any ideas. 16 days, says Grace Lambert. Robert Atcher says, another good pod coming up. That's it, man. Well, thanks for the transition, Robert Atzert. So let's wait, before we go to the depth chart. Aspect says, bro, you go live at 1:30 a.m. UK time. Well, I appreciate it, Aspect. We do have a big UK fan following here. So I got nothing but love for the UK people. Patrick Jackson, his whole podcast crew, everything that they do. Great show. Can't wait for their stuff to come back in. DJ M says, Jason San. The Legend says, hey, Jason. Hey, the Legend. Keo King says, let's go. Trevor Lawrence been throwing. Dude, they do look good. And look, it's nice for me, and maybe I'm getting old, but seeing them not brawl with the Falcons was great. Now, maybe it's just two teams that are projected to be picking in the top 5 next year, maybe. But listen, I like the fact that they didn't brawl. There wasn't a fight. I mean, you saw what happened in LA and all these other places. It's like, no, dude. They were so respectful, and it was just really good. And so I appreciate the fact that they did not fight and that there wasn't any injuries. I mean, we got one more preseason game for there not to be injuries. I think we're all praying and holding our breath that that does not happen. So definitely going to be excited to see what happens in that Atlanta preseason game. I don't think anyone's playing. So Tallahassee with the $1.99 super chat. He says, before Jesus King gets in here. Jesus King, yeah, I know. But Tallahassee, thank you, man. $2. Wow, appreciate that. I haven't even gotten into the meat of the content yet, man. That's what I like to see. All right, well, hey, let's jump right into it. I don't know how y'all are going to feel about this, but I have a little setup for you. Yeah, we're spicy today, boys. So we're going to reveal who we think is going to be on the depth chart. So it's going to work their way into the 53-man. So we're going to kind of get it with the 53-man roster here as well. Let's just jump right into it. At first, we have quarterback. I figured quarterback is probably going to be the easiest one to figure out here, right? Oh, no. We have Jesus King sighting already. I may have to. Hold on. Let me see something here, boys. Let's see here. Jesus King jumped in here with the $5 donation. Says, I'm here, but I can't stay long. LaVisca make the team. Okay. All right, Jesus King, thank you for the $5. Awesome super chat. I love it every single time. I mean, you're the man. Hey, just for you, just because you're like the channel member favorite here, there it is. The $5 through super chat. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jesus King. Just because that you're here, I'll do a little spoiler for you guys. I'll do a little spoiler. LaVisca Chenault in at this may look like the third wide receiver spot, but this is actually the fifth wide receiver spot. Okay, because there's two. If you notice, there's two wide receiver spots here. So or this would be better here. Two here. So yeah, LaVisca makes the team. All right, he makes the team. I know a lot of people think he's going to get cut, but I don't think he will. Listen, here's the reason why I don't think he will, and this is like a good little transition here for that. If you look at what Doug Pederson has done in the past, he's had years. I have it pulled up here. Check this out, boys. In 2020, Doug Pederson's last year as the Philadelphia Eagles coach, he kept 7 wide receivers on his 53-man roster. I don't think he'll keep 7 with us, but he kept 7. Another thing that stands out about that 2020 year final 53-man roster, he kept 6 safeties. Like 6 safeties. Like 3 free safeties and 3 strong safeties. So he does crazy things. Another thing that I think is worth noting is 3 out of the 5 years that he coached the Eagles, on his 53-man roster, he had 3 quarterbacks. So I don't think he'll have 3, but it's just interesting to note. In 2016, he kept 11 offensive linemen, like 11 different offensive linemen. That's 2 deep and a third, which is pretty unheard of. That's a big number. For reference, the next year he kept 8. So he really does keep, depending on who he has. And it's just really is interesting to see. I'm trying to see some other numbers that stood out here. 3 tight ends in 2016, 3 tight ends in 2017, 4 tight ends in 2018, and then only 2 tight ends in 2019 and 2020. So he's got numbers all over the place as far as, what Philip Butcher, $10 super chat. Woo! What a start, boys. What a start. Thought you would do another live stream without me? No chance. Philip, thank you, man. $10, man. Thank you. Man, I'm glad you're here. We're just talking about how Doug Pederson has no rhyme or reason on how many he's going to keep. I tried to look for a pattern in how many people that he kept on his teams, on the 53-man rosters, and it was kind of all over the place. So, 2017, he kept 5 running backs. I've never seen a coach keep 5 running backs ever in my life, and I've been following football for a whole time. I never realized that was something people did. So, I don't know if we're going to be able to predict accurately what Doug Pederson's going to do, but we're going to try, okay? So that was for Jesus is King. We gave him the sneak peek, LaVisca Chenault Jr. pick as the 5th wide receiver. 5th wide receiver. I think he makes the team. I think he gets one more year, one more chance. Thank you for being here, Jesus King. Philip Butcher again, thank you for the $10. I appreciate it. All right, so quarterback. This one's easy. So I think it's easy just to kind of go ahead and get this out of the way. That's Trevor. Obviously, I don't think we need to spend any more time on Trevor Lawrence. And then let's back up C.J. Beathard. Okay, C.J. Beathard. I don't think that it's really any question. Beathard's getting paid more money than any of our quarterbacks. I know E.J. Perry is actually graded out pretty well in PFF. I mean, he's one of our top graded out PFF players. I think he's a practice squad guy, but like I said, Doug Pederson keeps 3 quarterbacks more than he doesn't. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Eddie Walgamuth in the chat. I got to give a shout out to Eddie, okay? Eddie out here watching YouTube. I think it might be his first show. Wow. That's I love to see that. 3rd quarterback. Guess what, boys? I don't have him keeping one. I know E.J. Perry was the man. I know he played well. I don't think E.J. Perry gets on the team. I think Doug Pederson rolls into the season with Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Beathard. Luton gets cut. Perry gets cut. I don't think that there's really much there. Jesus is King says, I can see us using tight ends more than wide receiver depth. I got you there. K. Charles with the $5. Dude, you guys are popping tonight. Thank you. Dude, Friday night, y'all are spicy. I might know why. I think you guys might dip into the extracurriculars on Friday night. I think that's what might happen. Then you guys get a little liberal with your super chat donations. Hey, not complaining at all. I might even join you. All right. Fat Boy Shad says, I'll trade him. He has value because as soon as we let Laviska go, he'll succeed on the right team. I don't know if he has any trade value. I mean, he's a 6th-round pick guy. On the local radio, they were talking about, would you trade like a 3rd or a 4th? Of course we trade a 3rd or a 4th. No one's offering a 3rd or a 4th for him. You're going to get a 6th or a 7th for him. Or they'll just wait for us to cut him next year or even this year. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a I don't know there. Laviska, though, that's it. Moon Illusion says EJ Parrish rip. I think he meant Perry. All right, so quarterback. Let's do there. Okay, let's go straight to wide receiver since we already spoiled the wide receiver. Now, I think there's no question about. Let's see here. There's no question that the number 1 wide receiver is going to be Christian Kirk. Okay, obviously he's getting paid a lot of money, and the contract like this doesn't look that bad now. I like the kind of connection that him and Trevor have. He trusts him on that play in the second quarter where the ball went just over the defender's fingertips. He did have one that went to Marvin Jones Jr., but the second one, he had another one that went to Christian Kirk. And if you noticed, he passed up 2 easy crossing routes for that throw. So I like that. I like that he trusts him already. A couple throws that were down and away where only he could get them. So I liked seeing that. Next wide receiver, I have Zay Jones, okay? Now, on the official depth chart, Zay Jones is not listed as the number 2 wide receiver, but I think anyone that's watched the games, the preseason games, Zay Jones has clearly separated himself as kind of the top-tier receiver on this team. He looks better than anything I've seen him do in Oakland or Las Vegas, anywhere he was at. He looks like a different player, and he looks like he's going to benefit from being in this offense. I kind of have big expectations, and I got to admit, Zay Jones was a guy that I was not big on when we signed him. To be fair, I didn't watch a lot of film of him out there, but it was with the Bills and with Vegas. But I'm on it. I'm on him now. He plays great. He plays well. Zay Jones, I expect him to have a great season. Don't sleep on Zay Jones, says Robert Adser. User says, you should call the Jets for Denzel Mims / Laviska swap 2nd-round disappointments. I mean, you may end up with just the same type of player, but I mean, if they want to just try a change of scenery, I don't see there's any problem with that. Maybe that is actually, I like that idea at all. Tallahassee says, what's Agnew listed at? Relax, Tallahassee. We're going to get there. Eddie says, Jason, Jags O-lines are terrible other than Brandon Sheriff. Okay. Now, not necessarily fair because if you watch the O-line in the preseason, they look really good. And now I know that you got to look at who they're playing against, not all starting defense, but I saw enough of the offensive line to know they're going to be okay. Brandon Sheriff, good is an understatement. I mean, all pro, probably a better term for him. Cam Robinson, I like what we're seeing out of Cam Robinson. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. Okay. All right. Wide receiver 3. Now, you got to consider a slot. So anytime we're in a bunch or a 3-by-2 or a 3-by-1, anytime we're in a trip set with 3 wide receivers, then there's going to be a 3rd wide receiver. And I think that 3rd wide receiver is going to be Marvin Jones Jr. No doubt in my mind, Marvin Jones Jr. is the guy. Just you can trust him. You know, I watched, if any of y'all saw they did like a compliment your opponent video at the Jags Falcons joint practice, and a bunch of Falcons gave props to Marvin Jones. Like, they gave props to the veteran. I like what he does. I like the things that I like how he gets open. I like how he catches the ball pretty reliably, especially compared to what we had in the past. So that was it. The Legend says, do you play football? Legend, I'm 33 years old. I played Madden football. Jesus King. I did play adult league flag football in college a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that was fun. Dominated that, of course. Jesus is King. Agnew is a wide receiver. He will be used as a sweep around wide receiver and screens. Fat Boy Shad says if he's at number 1, that means he'll get 10-plus targets a game. Aspect says, got to show Zay Jones love. Zay Jones has been popping off. Eddie says Zay Jones destroyed the Ravens. Don't forget how good Marvin can be. I got Marvin there. Jesus King says Ben Barch needs up Volkfang. Oh, Volkfang in the chat. What up, Volkfang? Volkfang's it. So you know what separates Volkfang and Philip Butcher? Is that they're channel members. All right, they're channel members. That means they get all the channel member benefits. And you know that means a lot to me. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Jesus King is trying to talk about Ben Barch. We're not there yet. Jesus King. The legend says that Jag safety is terrible. We're not there yet, legend. All right, since you guys can't stay on topic here, I'll have to do it for you. Number 4 wide receiver, who honestly, your number 1 backup, because I feel like we're going to be in trips a bunch of times. Number 4, we have the one and only Jamal Agnew. I know you guys wanted to get to him. You guys were so excited about Jamal Agnew. Here he is, okay? I like him as a weapon too. I was not kidding when I said this. I think he will be the first wide receiver off the bench. He's the starting kick returner, starting punt returner. You can put him in packages and jet sweeps, end arounds, screens, anything really. I mean, and that's kind of, I think it's kind of selling him short, because when he was given his one opportunity in his entire career to be a wide receiver last year on a really bad team, he really impressed. So I think Agnew got a taste of that sweet nectar, and you're going to see him perform well. I'm excited about our wide receiver group. I mean, that 4 right there, Kirk, Zay Jones, Marvin Jones, and Jamal Agnew, that's a solid 4. And to the outsiders, other teams, I can see them saying that that's not that impressive. But after seeing what we've seen, I like it. I like it. Ascension Burner says, my favorite Jags channel. Ascension, bro. Thank you, man. That means a lot. That means a lot. Philip Butcher says Tim Jones 6. Ooh, okay. Trying to be a little spoiler there, Philip. I like that. Moon's trying to get into it with Eddie, which is not a good idea. No one gets smarter from that conversation. Tallahassee says, I hope Treadwell gets kicked. Ooh. Jag's going to have to overpay the free agents. All right, we're going to have to move through this, or we're going to be here forever. All right, moving on to the 5th wide receiver, Laquan Treadwell. I got Laquan Treadwell just under Laviska Shenault. And I was back and forth on this with Laviska. I think Laviska's young enough to where he's going to get a shot to be in the rotation of receivers. You're going to have injuries, right? So you have an injury to the top 4, Laviska moves into that role. And I think that's fair. That's okay. I'm okay with giving him another shot. I know he looked slow in the preseason game, but I don't necessarily think that's his game anymore. This isn't Colorado Laviska Shenault. And, I still think that he's not 100%. Just something about, look, like I said, watching him at Colorado and the way he played there, it doesn't look like the same guy at all. I think there's still some lingering injuries there, and I think he's going to kind of get back into it, hopefully. And y'all like to play spoilers. Wide receiver 6, y'all know who it is. It is Tim Jones. Tim Jones has been impressive this camp, okay? Like I said, in 1 year, I can't remember which one it was, 2016. Oh, I'm sorry, 2020. Doug Pederson kept 7 wide receivers. So there's a chance we see another wide receiver on this list. I'm just saying he's done it before. Now, we do have the tight ends. We're going to move to the tight ends here because they're kind of receivers, kind of blockers. I do think he's going to keep 4 tight ends, which eats into that number, but I still think that he keeps 6 wide receivers. I do. I think Tim Jones makes it. He's played well enough in not only camp, but in the preseason games. He's gotten the 2nd most snaps, I believe, behind somebody. Someone else got a couple more snaps than him. I can't remember what it is, but he's gotten the 2nd most snaps. So the guy's definitely been getting work in, and I expect him to make the team. And I don't know. I think that's it. Laviska seems like he runs with ankle weights. Yeah. It's so nice to watch them play now. It's actually fun to watch. Hasn't been in forever, says Zach is whack. That's a good point. The Jags have not been a team that has been enjoyable to watch. That's fair. They haven't. It's been miserable the last couple of years. These preseason games in the first half with the offense, although they haven't been scoring touchdowns every drive, have been fun. They're making big plays. Trevor's going for the big throw, going for all the bombs and things like that. So I like it. It's a good time out there. The running back situation makes it a lot of fun, but we're not there yet. We got to keep rolling through. All right, let's go to the tight ends. Tight end 1. Oh, Grace Lambert with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you. She says this is the Zay. And I think that's a hint at her fantasy football team name that she went with. I think that's a Mandalorian reference there, if I'm correct. Volkfang says, now, do you think Kevin Austin can make it onto our practice squad, or does he make it to the 53? He has good athletics, but needs the development, I think. I don't see Kevin Austin making the team. I think they'll try maybe to get him on the practice squad. I don't actually see him getting picked up by another team's 53-man roster. Because you got to remember, to get poached from another team's practice squad, you have to be on the active roster for at least, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. So another team would be depending on Kevin Austin to be in their starting 53 for the first quarter of the season. So I don't necessarily think that's realistic. I'm rooting for him, though. I think he's a great athlete, and I think he does end up on a practice squad, and he does continue to have a career in the NFL. Who knows, man? He gets another shot next year on a preseason squad, and he could definitely. I mean, he's probably one good preseason away from making a 53. I think great player. All right. Well, I'm gonna get to some of your comments, but we got 53 people to go through. All right. So we're moving to tight ends here. Okay, tight ends. First tight end. I have Evan Ingram. Okay, I know he's like. This is where it gets tricky with the tight ends. This is why I think he keeps 4, because Evan Ingram, although lines up on the end line, I didn't see a single play in the preseason where he blocked. So is he a tight end or is he a receiver? I don't know. So liking what I'm seeing out of him, though. I think that he's a decent player. And I think this change of scenery, change of scheme, having a coach and offensive coordinators who prioritize the tight end position. I mean, no one prioritizes tight ends the way that Doug Pederson does. Like, nobody. So super excited about that. He's had some catch issues in the past, for sure. But a guy as talented as him is going to make it happen. There's a lot of people that can't catch. And if can't catching is our problem, then we have no shot. Okay? All right, moving on to the next tight end. I have it tight end, too. I have it Chris Manhertz. Now, is the snap distribution going to be as linear as 1, 2, 3, 4 with these guys? Absolutely not. And I'll talk about that more in a second. But Manhertz is your blocking tight end. Although I feel Zay Jones is as good blocker as Evan Ingram and Chris Manhertz, I think they're pretty comparable in their blocking. So I like Zay Jones as a blocker. It's one of the things that I really like about Zay Jones. So I think you're going to see Manhertz, though, out there. Look, we saw 3 tight end sets in the last preseason game. So love 3 tight end sets. You'll always have me there. At the third tight end spot, I have Dan Arnold. Now, I like Dan Arnold. We all like Dan Arnold. It was like the one thing Urban Meyer did that was great was bringing Dan Arnold. Now, we all like him. He had that season-ending injury, which was a bummer, but I do think he can contribute to the passing game. He might be one of those sneaky guys, okay? One of those guys that no one talks about and ends up being pretty good. So I like Dan Arnold. I know you guys like Dan Arnold, but he seems to have been buried on the depth chart in Doug Peterson's offense. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because he came back from the injury. I honestly don't know. Philip Butcher says, Ingram, Arnold, Farrell, and Manhertz. All right. I think I got one more. You might be right. Jesus is King. I draft Ingram in fantasy football. He's going to go off in Doug's offense. I like that. Aspect says Kevin Austin will probably end up on the Texans somehow. Adam Fisher says, isn't that 7 wide receivers? It is, in fact, 7. I can't count. Thank you. I do think, okay, I can keep 7. All right, sorry. Thank you for counting, Adam Fisher. Volkfang, Visca would be a good physical slot wide receiver if he can separate better from the line. I don't know if he can get separation from the defensive back once he's running his route. That's more my issue with him. Like, he couldn't get open in the past. That's why they throw it to the quick screen and the bubbles and the short passes, because he's not creating separation. I just don't think he has it anymore. Again, that's why I went back to the injury. All right, and I do think that they end up keeping fourth tight end in Luke Farrell, and here's the reason why. Pederson is known for keeping extra tight ends. Let's see here. In 2018, he kept 4 tight ends. That same year, he kept 6 wide receivers, but he kept 4 running backs that year. I don't think we keep 4 running backs this year. So he can do it. Like 3 tight ends in 2016, 3 tight ends in 2017. So yeah, that's it, man. That's it. Sneaky athletic lunch pail type of guy, says user. I like that. Cade Charles says Zay Pride. That's a good name. I do like that one too. Maybe like don't say Zay law. I don't know. I like that though. Jesus King, Luke Farrell looks good. Okay, so here's why I like Luke Farrell. Luke Farrell is our fullback. Okay, we lined up. I don't know why I did this. What a waste of time. I don't know why I put these here. There's no other fullbacks. Luke Farrell lined up in fullback a couple of times in this. And listen, I know they didn't want to show their hand, but we showed a play on the last video where I broke down the Steelers game. One of the plays, they have Dan Arnold on the weak side of the formation. I'm sorry, Arnold on the weak side of the formation. Manhurts on the strong side of the formation. And then they had Luke Farrell in the backfield, pre-snap, no motion, snapped the ball. Farrell came across the formation, and they ran a play action. So I think they're going to use multiple tight ends, and Luke Farrell they're going to use out of the backfield as that fullback H-back hybrid. So I like it. Look, got to throw the ball nowadays. Got to do it. Robert Atcher says, watching Drew Lock playing good makes me feel better going against the Broncos this year. I always like Drew Lock. Maybe it was the dancing. I don't know what it is. All right, let's move on to the halfbacks, okay? So the starting halfback, I have Travis Etienne. Now, again, this is a depth chart show as much as it is a 53-man roster. We all love James Robinson. James Robinson's the man. He's done a lot for us. He reminds me a lot of Maurice Jones-Drew in the fact that he was the only player that did anything in our offense. But the injury is the only reason why he's down on this list. Ideally, he gets back to his previous form, and you have two guys that are just great playmakers in the backfield. Travis Etienne has been outstanding in the backfield as a backfield receiver, as a pass blocker and pass protection, and as a runner. I mean, he gets skinny, finds the gap, he hits the hole, great acceleration, doesn't go down easy, doesn't lose yards. I mean, he looks like an experienced back with his vision, but he's got like the movement of like a young back, and that's the combination you want in a running back for sure. So, Philip Butcher says Jags waiting for the waiver wire to get a running back. Now, I know who was the running back. Nathan Cottrell has been grading out really well. I don't know if you're going to find a running back as good as Nathan Cottrell. Like, I think he's been decent. So if they do end up keeping another running back, I think Cottrell could be the guy. And then finally, they keep Snoop Conner. They just drafted him. They like what he is. I think he's a young James Robinson, which is weird to say because James Robinson's still pretty young, but same playing style. One cut back, hits the hole hard. I was a little skeptical of Snoop Conner coming out of college because he was a running back by committee at Ole Miss. And that's never something you want to see ideally in a guy you draft. But look, it looks like the scouts were right. He does everything right. Liking what I'm seeing out of him. User says, need to leave a spot for the eventual Ben Koyak signing. Ben Koyak is going to be on the pride of the Jaguars, so he doesn't even be on the roster because he'll be in the pride. Adam Fisher says, I'm here for you. Oh, thanks, Adam. Krakatoa says, both James and Travis coming off injury. I wouldn't be surprised at 4. That's a good point. So if there is a 4, I think it's Nathan Cottrell. But great point. Great point. Philip Butcher, James waiting for the waiver. Okay, Jack, you already said that. I already said that. Travis is in my fantasy. Oh, wow. My fantasy draft is not until the day before the season starts. Okay, Charles, let's get some more ETN blocking film. I had the one from last video. If you go back and watch my last video, I showed a play of it. Travis Etienne eating Miles Jack, like blowing up Miles Jack. Love to see it. Jesus King says, I thought Cottrell was released. He probably was. He could have been. Cottrell is gone. All right, so Cottrell is gone. That's too bad because I was looking at the PFF grades, and it's sad because Wes Martin and Nathan Cottrell were in the top 7 of PFF grades, both cut. EJ Perry, 3rd highest PFF grade, cut. Or I think they brought him back, but was cut, then brought back. Mekhi Sargent, I think, gets cut. So Brandon Sheriff, though, was just like an absolute solid grade and played 65 snaps. It's not like the dude didn't play, so he played 65 snaps. So I love to see that. Jeff Cotton Jr. was the other guy, the wide receiver. He was the other guy who played more snaps than whoever I said it was. All right, moving right along. Left tackle. Again, no secret here. I think it has to be Cam Robinson. All right, got to be Cam Robinson. Paid him, easy, not much to say about there. Got big expectations for that. Jesus King says that should tell you PFF grades don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. I like them, Jesus King. They're color coded. You know, they give you the snap count. I'm a simple man, Jesus. Simple man. Let's move over to right tackle. This might shock some of you. It might not. I got Juwan Taylor starting. Does he stay the whole season as the starter? No. I think week 1 he is the starter. So Juwan Taylor, I think he's your starting right tackle. He honestly has stepped up to the occasion. Maybe he has progressed. Imagine that. But bottom line is that he's definitely played better this year than last year. Now, can he reduce the holding calls? Can he reduce the false starts? Maybe. But Walker Little just quite frankly did not take the job from him. That being said, I do have Walker Little at both backup left tackle and backup right tackle. So not a bad place to be. Your swing tackle, he's your guy who's going to come in, first injury to a tackle position. And here's one thing about the Jags that I will say about many positions is they have a lot of versatility. We're about to get into the versatility of the Jags. Along the D-line, along the O-line, along the secondary, along the linebacking core, they have a lot of versatility. A lot of guys can play multiple positions. I think that's what Doug Pederson likes. And because of that, that allows you to keep more skill position players. The reason why Doug Pederson keeps 7 wide receivers and 4 tight ends, and he's kept 4 to 5 running backs one year. The reason why he's able to do that is because he selects guys at those like interior positions, those like trenches positions that are versatile. So if the left tackle goes down, Walker Little comes in. If the right tackle goes down, Walker Little comes in. Actually, I think you have the same thing at backup guard. I think at backup left guard and right guard, Tyler Shatley's your first guy in. You know, I think he comes in and he has the versatility to play that position. I'll give you one step further. Tyler Shatley, I think, also is your backup center. So any of the interior offensive line positions, Tyler Shatley comes in, steps in, and is your starting interior offensive lineman with one injury. It's a good place to be. Like Walker Little, I trust Tyler Shatley. I think he's a good player. I think he's, been in the league for a long time for a reason, and has always been that swing guard, that swing interior offensive lineman. There's something to be said for that. Left guard gets a little dicey with Ben Barch. Again, I can see Ben Barch and Tyler Shatley battling that out most of the year. Luke Fortner at your center position, I think it's pretty obvious. He's been pretty impressive as a rookie. He's going to have his lumps he's going to have to take because every offensive – I say all the time, besides quarterback, I think offensive line is the biggest learning curve from the jump from the college to pros. So it's impressive he's been able to look as good as he has. And right guard is no secret, the all-pro Brandon Sheriff. I think he'll have an all-pro year this year if he can stay healthy. His health is the only thing that's going to dictate how much he'll be around and what the national media will think of him. But if he's in the game, he's already shown his ability to completely blow open holes in the running game and to absolutely destroy pass rushes like before they start. So Brandon Sheriff, my favorite signing on the team. I did a video a couple weeks back about like the best contracts for their money, and I had Brandon Sheriff number 2 only because I had Arden Key number 1. But Brandon Sheriff it was tough for me to be number one and not number 2. User says the Bears are tanking hard. I feel bad for Fields because the legend wants to know about the Bears. I really don't watch a lot of other teams. Instead of watching, like, this sounds weird, but instead of watching, like, the Jags at 1, another team at 4, another team at 7, another team on Monday, another team on Thursday, I watch the Jags at 1, another team at 4. I rewatch the Jags game at 7 or 8. I catch a little bit of the late night game. I do a live show Monday night. So I actually really end up just like talking and watching the Jags more than anyone else. So Jaggernaut says, "What's up, Jags United?" Bro, I'm glad you asked, man. I had a pretty tough week this week. A lot of stuff at work went crazy, like last minute. I'm one of those people who likes to have everything kind of planned out in advance, and then like last minute things go crazy. That's how it went this week. So I'm glad it's the weekend. Glad I get a little time to relax, and looking forward to some time off before the Jag season starts. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing good, Jaggernaut. All right, moving on. Third string left tackle. Because you have so many swing players in Shatley and Little, I think he's going to end up keeping a couple of guys on the depth chart. I think you have Will Richardson. And this pained me to put him there. And if he's not there and it's someone else, that would not surprise me at all. I mean, if you get a guy in there instead like Badara Traore, however you say his name, would not be surprised. But they're just quite frankly not carrying a lot of tackles on the team right now. And because of that, I think Will Richardson is that guy that ends up being that third, well, I guess technically second, depending on how you look at it, guy. At third string right tackle, I think they end up keeping Will Richardson ends up being that third guy again on the other side. So you have your swing tackle in Little and Richardson. If Richardson's in the game, you got problems anyways. So I think that's it. Arden Key sucks. Okay, Eddie. All right. You might have to get muted here with that take. That's one of the worst takes I've ever seen in my life. Arden Key's been the best defensive player on our team in the preseason. Cody Jackson, what's up with Fatu Kasi? Is he hurt? I haven't seen anything new about him, so hopefully not. I'm watching Cowboys lose. Can't wait to see them lose at home game. Go Jags. I got a lot of buddies that want to see. Those tickets are going for like $250 right now. I went to both preseason games, and at both preseason games, you have scalpers walking around with like the signs that say, I need tickets, and then under it has Cowboy tickets. So, like, they understand where the value is in that ticket. I know season ticket holders that are selling their Cowboys game ticket and making a bunch of money and paying for, a quarter of the season tickets with that one game. So, not a bad strategy. Yeah. Jaggernaut, have a great weekend. Thanks, Jaggernaut. I appreciate it. I hope you do too, man. It should be a good weekend. He hurt his calf, says Cade Charles. I thought we will see. Yeah, he could be hurt. We got some depth there, though. All right, let's see what I got going on here. I do have Coy Cronk as your third interior lineman. I think because you have Shatley playing that swing at all three positions, you do have to carry some depth. And Coy Cronk is a guy who I think has played well. His PFF grade isn't coming in great, but he just seems to be playing well game after game, and I like what I see on his film. I don't think we carry a third center, and I think you finally have Cole Van Lanen, the guy we just traded for. I think they traded for him for a reason. They would not have him on the roster they wouldn't have traded a draft pick for him if they didn't plan on carrying him on the 53-man roster. So, again, I think this is a guy that they're keeping around because they have so many swing players along that offensive line. Moon Illusions, what were your thoughts on the Van Lanen pickup? Packers fans says he was a starter but lost his job to some young guys. He's only 24. I mean, if we got him at that value, a late round pick, and he is going to be a great depth piece for us, I think we're okay. I think it's okay. Moon Illusions says, I can't wait to see Lloyd play. Me neither. Although I heard he's a rookie, so the slow start he got off to, Muma's already had his lumps, and I think he'll be good. Great transition, Moon, to the defense. I always love when you guys team you up for a transition. Let's start at left defensive end, and maybe the guy who's been the most surprising to me on the defensive side of the football, Roy Robertson Harris. Don't know who this guy is now. I don't know if he had some sort of change in his offseason regiment or if he just was under a bad system last year. I mean, all of those things could be possibilities. Regardless, I like what I'm seeing out of Roy Robertson Harris. I think he's going to give us a lot of value. He's looking like the guy that we were being sold last year, and I'm good with that. I'm definitely good with that. I like his size and his strength and his athleticism. I mean, he's a big boy. I mean, he's disruptive for sure. And at backup left defensive end, and just for the record, I know y'all don't care, but for my depth chart, to keep it straight in my brain, I have the left side as I'm calling the strong side, okay? So I have Roy Robertson Harris as the strong side D end, basically just meaning he's going to line up on the same side as the tight end. So he might face more double teams or more like runs are going to come at the people on the left side of my depth chart. So I have Dwan Smoot as that strong side defensive end, although in the preseason we've seen him kind of come in more of like the pass rush packages, and he's done a great job. He's done a really good job this year. I mean, he's definitely getting better every year. As a third-round pick, I thought maybe we might be overreached for him, but he's been impressive for me for sure. This nose tackle position gets a little hairy because we haven't seen a lot out of Devon Hamilton this preseason. Now, he did have some injuries, and he had some things going on, but I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on there. Jay Tufele, another guy, not too sure what's going on. So we have enough depth and rotational pieces to be able to move Fatu Kasi, who I have as my weak side 3-tech defensive tackle. I think we have enough depth where we can move Fatu Kasi to the nose tackle position and bring down a guy like Smoot on the starting line, or a guy like who I have as the backup here, Arden Key. right? And so Arden Key and Duan Smoot, again, are guys that come in on those speed packages, and they've done really, really well. Really well. So liking what I'm seeing out of them. I think the Jags only keep these 6 defensive linemen. I have them keeping 25 offensive players, 25 defensive players, a kicker, a punter, and a long snapper. It's not very often that Doug Pederson split it 25-25. I don't think he ever did, actually. So that probably won't happen. There's going to be some changes from here. But this just seemed – I didn't even count them up. I literally just put on who I thought, and then I counted them up, and it ended up being perfectly 50. So it could be this. It could not be. I don't know. 6 defensive linemen, maybe, I think. Jaggernaut, our front 7 looks pretty capable of constant pressure. Good to see. They were collapsing the pocket all preseason. They look good. What about Jameer Jones? All right, good question. Jameer Jones has been lining up actually at an edge position, and I have him as the backup edge on the left side, again, the strong side. So Jameer Jones is a guy that I like. He's been playing really well, and I think he's played his way on as a legitimate backup edge rusher. Now, will he be the first edge rusher that comes in if there's an injury? I don't think so. I think Clavon's the first one in no matter what, if it's strong side or weak side. But Jameer Jones is not far behind. He's not. And that strong side outside linebacker, I think we all know the number 1 overall pick, Travon Walker. Travon Walker, you could gotten like plus 1,400. I think you still can get like plus 1,400 odds to win Defensive Player of the Year. So put $100 down, win 1,400. Not a bad payday if you're into that sort of thing. I may have put a little friendly wager down just for fun. All right, but I'm expecting big things there. Now, these are 2 guys we haven't seen on our team in the past, but from what we've seen in the preseason, that's it. Moon Illusions, what do you think our biggest weaknesses on the defense? It's a good question. I think at strong safety, I'm a little concerned. I don't really think Rayshon Jenkins and Andrew Wingard are typically going to be guys that you want on the field. We'll get to them in a second, but I think strong safety, I'm a big fan in having a really good strong safety. I think strong safeties are in on almost every single play. The fact that they play in the box, the fact that they're walk down players, I think that you want to be solidified there. Rayshon Jenkins has been – I'll talk about Rayshon Jenkins in a second. All right, we'll get there. All right, so at strong side inside backer, I have Foye Lukin. Another guy, obviously, the Falcons gave a lot of shout-out to, and the compliment your opponent came from Atlanta. Led the NFL in tackles last year, which don't think that stats as, like, crazy impressive as, like, some people. I mean, how many tackles would, Miles Jack have and Paul Posluszny? I know people love these people. I know they do. But, I mean, I've seen guys get a lot of tackles and not be that good. I just have. So, not saying he won't be good. Don't get me wrong. I just think early in the preseason, I was kind of expecting a little bit more out of him. He hasn't looked as sharp in pass coverage as he did in Atlanta, and that could be just getting used to a new scheme. He's a smart guy. He went to Yale. I think he'll figure it out. Mike Caldwell's a first-time play caller on defense, so I think will figure it out. But I don't know. All right. Next we have Chad Muma. And not only do I have Chad Muma as your backup strong side linebacker, I also have Chad Muma as your backup in weak side linebacker. I think no matter what, first linebacker that comes off is going to be Chad Muma. I think you see Chad Muma in packages anyway. When I get to the safeties, I think you're gonna see packages where there's a free safety on the field, like Andre Sisco, and then you have Lukin, Lloyd, and Muma all on the field at the same time. I think you'll see that package a lot because Muma can play that strong safety role. In 3-3-5 defenses, you have like 2 outside strong safeties, and they're usually called like ponies or stars or something like that. And Muma kind of fits that role a little bit with his athleticism. So I think anytime we're in nickel and we're in the three defensive linemen, you could see the 3 linebackers that are starters, and then instead of a nickel back, and then Chad Muma instead of a strong safety. I think he has that ability. If you go back and watch the Chad Muma film breakdown, you'll see why I think that. I think he's a great player. Because, again, you have this rotational filler piece, I think you do have to have another linebacker on the roster, and that's Shaq Quarterman. And this is, again, another position where Doug Pederson has incredible versatility because you have Shaq Quarterman and Chad Muma literally interchangeable at those positions. Now, ideally, we saw in the first preseason game, you had Shaq Quarterman on the strong side and Muma on the weak side. But I think I think they both can do it. I think they can play both positions, and I think that you definitely are going to see some of that happening this year for sure. And I love it. Versatility is where it's at. All right, moving on to finally the right outside linebacker, which we'll call the weak outside linebacker or the weak edge rusher in the 3-4 defense. That's Josh Allen. He's a stud. I think he's going to have a great year this year with Travon Walker opposite of him and the pressure coming on the inside. And then I think that you have Clayvon coming in after that. I will say I think Clayvon is your first edge rusher coming off the bench. So I think he does get the nod over Jameer Jones just because of like his speed. But who knows if that lasts all season. I like what I saw out of Jameer Jones. And quite frankly, I like what I'm seeing out of Clayvon. I think Clayvon might have had one of those off seasons. We talked about when we drafted him. Clayvon's a guy that was going to take time to develop. He wasn't going to be a first-year guy. And now, he's been in the league for a couple years. Like, now's the time for him to blossom. Like, it's now or never for it to happen. Timmy Devil 999 says, I missed so much. Damn it. Timmy, all these go on VODs on replay. So just we're 48 minutes in. Watch the rest of it. And then go back and watch the first 48 minutes. Thought the first 48 minutes were great. That, regardless of that, I'm glad you're here, Timmy Devil. The shows are not the same without you. So I appreciate it. All right, moving on to cornerback. All right, now this got a little dicey, boys. I'm not going to lie. We got Tyson Campbell, and we obviously have Shaq Griffin. And in what order this is going to be, I have no clue. I'm hearing Shaq Griffin's a boundary corner where he only plays against the boundary. I'm hearing Tyson Campbell's the field corner. But I would rather have Tyson Campbell on their best wide receiver. What happens when they're in the middle of the field and they're in I don't know. So I could see Shaq Griffin losing his job to Darius Williams. I know Darius Williams was brought in to be the slot, but if Darius Williams is a better boundary corner than Shaq Griffin, he's going to play there. Like, I don't think he played the slot in LA last year. I think he played opposite of Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know. I'm really intrigued. This is one of the positions that I think will be the most interesting, is this cornerback position. Like, what's going to happen? What will happen with there? And who will ultimately, by like week 4 or 5, be the starter? It's kind of a crapshoot from here because you got guys like Trey Herndon. Who do I have here? I have Xavier Crawford, who I think has been playing great this year. I'm just going Monteric Brown. I think this is Greg Jr. So if you'll notice, Chris Claybrooks is noticeably absent from this roster. I think he's a roster casualty. I like him as a player, but you drafted Monteric Brown and Gregory Jr. because obviously you liked something that they had about their special teams play. Trey Herndon has been getting all the reps when anyone injured, and Xavier Crawford, I think, quite frankly, just outplayed Claybrooks. And Monteric Brown and Greg Jr. I think Xavier Crawford's been our fourth best defensive back because Darius Williams hasn't played. So, I mean, I think Crawford has played his way onto this roster. If he's a guy that gets cut, then I think he gets picked up by another team because his film looks good, his PFF grade looks good, he just looks good. He looks good. Darius Williams is your nickel corner. And again, I think Darius Williams could end up taking Shaq Griffin's spot, Eddie, to answer your question. Philip Butcher says, the good thing about this staff is it seems they're going to play the best players. That's a good point. Yeah, regardless of position. I love that. Volk Fang, channel member, says, I think depending on matchup, you can have any of the Darius Williams, Shaq, and Campbell on the boundary or slot. They all offer a different skill set against the run from the slot. That's a great point, Volk Fang. Against the run, these guys are all offering you different things. Now, Shaq Griffin has had his ups and downs against the run. I love Tyson Campbell against the run. Darius Williams has been known to be good against the run, but again, we haven't seen him. Greg Jr., I think, was drafted for his ability to set the edge and stop the run. And Crawford has been good, too. So that's a very good point, Volkfang. A great point for the day. We're almost done here, boys. Strong safety. This is where it gets a little dicey. We'll just go ahead and show you all these. Rayshon Jenkins at starting strong safety and Andre Cisco at free safety. Now, I like Cisco a lot. Rayshon, here's the thing about Rayshon that I'm confused. So, against the Raiders and against the Browns, he had like opening drive, great tackle for losses. Like came down the line from the ends, made a tackle in the backfield on a running back, made a great play. And I think Rayshawn Jenkins has had a pretty good camp and a pretty good preseason. And admittedly, I was probably the biggest skeptic of Rayshawn Jenkins of anybody. I was skeptical of the fact that he was getting tossed out of games for fighting, that he was getting unnecessary roughness calls. Like there's no place for that in the NFL. But I've seen something different out of him this year. But what throws me off is this last game against the Steelers, I saw him on kickoff coverage in the second quarter. And that's not something you see from like a bona fide starter. So that leads me to believe that he's still fighting for his job. And I think that he will ultimately be the starter, but he's on thin ice. He's on thin ice because he's got the one and only Dewey Wingard breathing down his neck for that position. So if he can keep Dewey off his back, look, Dewey's not a terrible player. I know people like to hate on him, but he's not a terrible player. He's really not. Better than a lot of people think. I'm not saying he's starter quality, but I'm saying he's better than a lot of people think. Ben Haney says, late to the party. Just wanted to say what's up, Ben. I'm glad you're here, man. You guys are so awesome. Like, that's what makes you guys the best, because, like, I can count on, like, all of you being here in the chat for the shows. And, like, if you miss it by, like, an hour, you guys still pop in and you're like, yo, what's up? Popping in, popping out. Like, I love that. Like, that is, like, that means more to me than having, like, a chat full of lurkers. Like, honestly, it really does. So I appreciate the comment. This show would be nothing without the comments. So, Ben Haney, people like you, I love. Thank you, thank you. User says, I respect Wingard for being here for some thin years, but I'm tired of seeing bro out there, LOL. That might be where I stand, user. That might be exactly how I feel. And the last player to be revealed, last but not least, Daniel Thomas. I have been harping on Daniel Thomas since he was drafted. I like his potential. I know he's been injured and he hasn't shown a lot, but I like Daniel Thomas. Anytime he's on the field, he's like making a play. Like, does he get burnt sometimes? Yes. Is he always around the football? Yes. So I love Daniel Thomas. I think he's the 53 guy on the roster, and it's a good time. Now, again, I split. This is 25-25. I didn't do it intentionally. I promise you I didn't. I looked at the past of what Pederson did and who he's kept, and I know 7 wide receivers is a lot, but like I said in the past, Pederson's kept 7 wide receivers before. I know 4 tight ends is a lot, but he's kept 4 tight ends in the past. 3 running backs kind of helps that situation. 2 quarterbacks helps that situation. And having swing offensive linemen like Tyler Shatley and Will Richardson really helps that situation as far as being able to keep those extra skill positions. Now, if he ends up keeping another halfback, Tim Jones is probably the guy who gets the collateral damage from there. So I think that's it. Same thing with defense, man. 7 corners. That's a lot of corners, but you're given versatility with Chad Mooman, Shaq Quarterman being able to play both linebacker positions. If they do end up keeping another linebacker, I think Xavier Crawford is your collateral damage there, and he's the guy that gets the boot. So Tim Jones and Xavier Crawford are probably my realistic tweeners, but I like what I've seen out of them in the preseason, and I don't know. Philip Butcher says Thomas is getting cut, unfortunately. Travis Powell says bona fide hitter, probably talking about Wingard. Jaggernaut says, hey, Jason, what jersey are you going to wear for game 1? It's a good question. So I do like jerseys, and I actually am about to add another. I have a whole new setup coming for the back wall for this season. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm just going to pop it out one video, and you guys are going to be like freaking going crazy. Okay, it's a whole new setup of whole new jerseys. That being said, I'm actually not a big jersey wearer to games, and here's why. I collectively probably spent $400 in Jalen Ramsey jerseys. I only buy the Nike Elite top of the line jerseys. If I'm going to spend money on a jersey, I'm just going to spend $150 and get the nice ones. I'm not going to spend $80 or $120. I'm just going to spend $150 and get a nice jersey. So I got a bunch of Jalen Ramsey jerseys. Before that, I had a bunch of Blake Bortles jerseys. I have a closet full of Jags jerseys that are amazing jerseys that I cannot wear because they're no longer on the team. We've almost had enough time to where I can start wearing the Bortles jerseys again, but it's still a little too early for that. So because of that, I like to wear like a nice Jags polo. I know I sound like an old man, but I like to wear a nice Jags polo to the game. Shorts, comfortable shoes, and I try to keep it classy. Try to keep it classy. Now, no one's watching them or cheering louder than me, and but I'd keep it classy with the jersey. But I want to get a Trevor jersey though. I don't have a Trevor jersey yet. I want to get one. Rubicon Racer says, "What's up, Jags United?" Not much, man. Just glad it's the weekend. I barely made it, and unfortunately have missed the streams lately. Hope all is well. Go Jags. Rubicon, just glad you're here, brother. Go back and watch the VOD. It's they're up. They've been doing good. I mean, the videos are doing pretty good. I've been trying to get more interviews going. My interview fell through this week that I wanted to have, but I'm gonna have one. I think hopefully Sunday or early next week. I love doing interviews with other Jags media people. The name Jags United is not just a gimmick or a ploy. I do really have a passion for bringing Jags fans together. And what I've noticed is since this platform's kind of taken off, some of the more toxic Jags fans have kind of settled down a little bit and kind of bought into my shtick. So I'm going to hopefully have a pretty big name Jags media person in here next week. So stay tuned for that. If you go back and watch my other interviews, I have them with Jordan DeLugo, founder of Gen Jag. And I have an interview. I have another interview with James Coleman, who was on the local radio station, played at FSU, Sports Den, all that stuff. I'll go back and watch them. User, come and dress like Urban in the bar. All right, best comment of the night, boys. Best comment of the night. Unfortunately, I think Urban and me have a lot in common. I hate to say that, but yeah. Jaggernaut, damn. Yeah, I wasted that cash on Ramsey. Might have to splurge on an Elite Lawrence. Good call on the classy shirt. Hey, that's just me, though. That's just me. Now, I do want a Trevor jersey. I want a Trevor jersey. I do. And people, I was reading on Reddit, like the ugliest Jags jersey. They're like, oh, the white jerseys are so ugly. And like, I get what people are saying. But, dude, those white jerseys look clean, bro. Those Nike Elite, nice, $150 white jerseys look clean. I'm telling you right now. You get one. I got more comments on my white Jalen Ramsey jersey. I got 10 times the comments on that jersey than any jersey I've ever worn, ever owned in my entire life. It looks good. I'm telling you right now, it looks real good. Timmy Devil says, I'm getting a Trevon Walker jersey. That's probably a good one, too, because that's a guy we're probably going to keep forever. Timmy Devil 999. I'm getting I read that one. Ben Haney, who scores the first points of the regular season on the team. Are you betting prop bets there, Ben? Because if that's what you're doing, then I would put the bank account on James McCourt, our kicker. Based on what we've done in the preseason, we're probably going to kick a field goal in the red zone and 3 points. Put your life savings on James McCourt getting the first points of the season. Jesus King says, I dressed as Urban Meyer for Halloween and have your friend dressed as football kicker so Urban can kick the kicker. Oh, man. I can't wait till we're far enough removed from Urban Meyer to where I can try to defend him. Listen, I love defending the undefendable. I get a weird kick out of it, and I'll do it, boys. Listen, 2027, you guys are going to be sitting here going, oh, maybe Urban wasn't given a fair shot. And you're going to be like, damn it, he caught me. Chase says, can Rudy Ford take a starting spot? I have Rudy Ford as one of my collateral cuts here. Now, someone in the comments mentioned that Daniel Thomas is probably going to get cut. So maybe Rudy Ford is that spot instead of Daniel Thomas. I don't know. Rudy Ford's, maybe Tim Jones is cut and Rudy Ford is kept. Rudy Ford was like the first guy off my list. So that's fair. I don't know. Like that was a coin flip there. I'll do like Rudy Ford. I'll give you credit there. He's just been in the league longer than people think. And he just can't stay on the field for whatever reason. Our jerseys would go from okay to great if they just did some winning in the team. That's a good point. Volkfang, those white jerseys would look so much nicer if they had a teal number names with a black outline. One change would elevate the drip. I agree completely. I'm just saying they look better. Like they look better in person than people think. Like when you see them on TV and on the field, they look very plain and vanilla. But like when you like close up, like the nice ones, they look really sharp. Like the stitched, they look sharp. I'm telling you, they look different. Yeah, I'm sure. Maybe Jags will be able to restore Saxonville, says Eddie. I think they will. If anything, this team will. I mean, the fact that Arden Key and Kalavon Chazon and Juwan Smoot are getting incredible pressures, and those are probably going to be our D-line depth, That gives me good signs for the future. And it's not like they're just getting sacks. Like, they're not getting sacks and completely collapsing the pocket and causing holding calls and causing the ball to be thrown away. The safety was Dewan Smoot collapsing the pocket and an intentional grounding or whatever it was. And it's just like, or the holding in the end zone. So, like, they're causing these things to happen, and that gives you good omens for the season. I just find it funny that Irvin kicked a kicker. Irvin's I just saw he signed a deal with Fox. He's gonna be on Fox again. So you're gonna see him on TV, and hopefully someone makes. I hope it's like the TNT show with Chuck, Kenny, and Ernie and Shaq, and they make fun of each other and they make fun of Urban Meyer. That would be great. Rubicon Racer. Trev would be here no matter what, but would Tyson be here without Urban? Or Travis Etienne? Would Travis Etienne be here? And if Walker Little ends up starting, would he be here? I know a lot of people are saying a lot of things about him as a coach, but this draft class that he made, because do not get it twisted, Urban Meyer was the GM last year. That's the reason why Balky retained his job, is because he was not the GM. He would by position he was, but by responsibility he wasn't. Urban made all of those picks, and that might have been the best draft class that we've had in a long time. Dripsonville, says Chase. I think Chenault makes the team. Robert, I think you're right too. I think he ends up being on the team as well. I want nothing more than to see Urban's co-hosts clown him the whole time. Yeah, I grew up a Gator fan. I can't say I'm a hardcore fan now just because I'm just not really interested in college football anymore. But I do have a little soft spot for Florida players and coaches, but not as much as a lot of people think. Okay, an hour and 3 minutes. I mean, I think that's a good show there. Thank you guys for being here. I mean, I got to give a special shout out to all the super chat and donations. You guys are amazingly awesome. Grace Lambert, I appreciate it with the $5. Cade Charles, thank you for the $5. Philip Butcher, thanks for the $10. That's awesome. Jesus King for the $5. Tallahassee for the $2. Thank you guys for the super chats. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you for being in the comments. That means a lot to me as well. For you guys to spend your time here with the live show with me, I love it. I love talking Jags. This is like one of the hour goes by so fast. Like, I just can't believe how fast time goes when you're doing something fun. So I appreciate that. Like Volkfang says, remember to hit the like button. You guys have been doing a great job of spreading the word and hitting the like button, because the subscribers have been skyrocketing. The views have been skyrocketing. The YouTube algorithm has been liking me lately. So I really do appreciate you guys. Really from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. All the commenters, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. I wish we could hang out more. Made it to nearly 3 a.m. Let's go, Jason Aspect. Thank the UK people that watch it live and on repeat. Thank you guys. Special shout out to you guys. Make sure to follow the Twitter and the Instagram. Twitter is where I do most of the stuff. Instagram, I'm trying to do better. I'm on Twitch at Jags_United. I might pop on Twitch tonight. But the game I've been playing lately, Super People, is not optimized, and it's really hard to stream. Although I have a pretty overpowered computer, I still have problems streaming it. So if I can figure that out, maybe I'll go live tonight, or maybe I'll play a different game. I don't know. But make sure that you follow the Twitch as well. Can't wait, man. Game tomorrow. We're gonna do some talking about it after. Maybe Sunday. Hopefully I get that interview in earlier in the week, but stay tuned for all of that. Thank you again so much. I will see you guys in a couple of days. As